Hello, golfing world. Welcome to TGD Today. It's Tech Talk with Dr. Grind. Do I scare you guys?
We just never know what we're going to get.
Yeah, it's not that you scare me. It's just how unpredictable you've gotten these days.
I know. It's the medication.
I like it.
Tech Talk with Al Cloyd.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about golf shafts, balancing, splining, and puring. A lot of our listeners out there and viewers maybe not aware of this, but it's something that's been going on in golf shafts, for years and years and years amongst serious club makers.
Well, hundreds of years, because you had to set up hickory shafts.
That's exactly right. So basically, in a nutshell, when they start manufacturing a shaft, it has a starting point and a finishing point.
Really?
Whether it be a steel shaft or a graphite shaft.
It just doesn't perpetually go on till the end of time?
Perpetually go on to the end of the time. So, and somewhere between the start point...
Don't spit.
Yeah.
I'm really trying not to.
Somewhere between the starting point and the finishing point is what we call the balance point of the shaft, where the shaft balances its best. When you put a shaft under a load, so basically what we're doing is we're taking a graphite shaft raw or a steel shaft. Doesn't really matter. Both of them have a balance point or a spline, whatever term that person likes to use to describe this.
Right.
So then we take a weight and put the weight on the end of the shaft, on the head end. And then you pull it back and you put it under a load. And then it'll start oscillating. And then what'll happen is in a perfect world, it stays within its own weight. The shaft's not bowing up, it's not bowing down. It's traveling backwards and forwards inside of its own weight.
It starts doing circles, you in a world of hurt, and better start changing some stuff around.
Yep.
Okay.
If it starts doing
so we're
circles,
looking for it to move back and forth horizontally.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right.
Now there's multiple ways to find that point. One is there's some people that they'll take and they'll call splining or spining, depending upon who you talk to. Basically, this system right here is a ball bearing system. What you have is you have two ball bearings loaded inside of a piece of PVC pipe. And then one ball bearing at the tip end. Okay, so you put the butt end of the club into the two ball bearings, and then you take the third ball bearing and you put it on the tip of the shaft where the head goes, and you rotate it with your fingers, and you'll actually feel a point to where that shaft drops. Okay, so that was done years and years ago, and there's still some guys that do that.
Wow.
Now, what I do is called laser balancing. What I done was I took a drill chuck and fashioned a laser light on the end of the drill chuck.
Not a Charles.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And then basically lock the butt end of the club down in the vise, and then we take the tip end, pull it back, and put it under a load. And then the laser projects on a grid pattern on the wall. So, and then we see which way that shaft travels right from a dead load. And then we rotate the shaft until it travels within its own weight, so it's not oscillating or circling.
It's moving horizontal.
It's moving horizontal.
Okay.
And then
it's in balance.
Okay.
And the orientation is very crucial on how you install that into the golf club once you found that spline.
Right.
So it's
that's where we would load the shaft based on that marking. When you find that balance point, then you put it at the bottom of the hosel, right?
That's
at
correct.
the back of the hosel.
Yep.
Is that right?
At the back or the front. It basically you want it from 12 to 6.
12 to 6.
You got it from 12 to 6.
Okay.
There are some players that will tweak a little bit with the orientation on the 12 to 6, and they'll go maybe to a different clock position to actually get the shaft to have a little more of a draw bias or a little more of a fade bias.
Okay.
Okay. So that's
now, considering amateurs probably, but once you throw this out there, somebody's going to want to ask about it and try it.
Oh, no doubt.
So do they move it to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? Rock. 5.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Stop.
Stop.
Finish your statement.
Do they move it counterclockwise to a certain position for a draw and move it, the opposite direction for a?
That's
how does
exactly.
that work?
Yep. You would go let's see, counterclockwise for a draw, and clockwise for a fade.
Okay. So you would move it, depending on orientation, left or right-handed player, you would move it opposite direction for the fade and
Just marginal, though. I only like to move it no more than about 1 clock position,
okay.
personally.
Okay.
Now there's another system out there that's impressive. It's called Puring.
Puring.
It's a machine that's very, very expensive. Mr. Gibson is a gentleman that designed it, and it's basically the same thing. I have the poor man's version of what he's got.
Okay.
Okay. I went and studied his machine, and basically what he has is it's all animated. So if you ever get a chance to see one in operation, it's pretty neat to watch. Basically what happens is you put the butt end of the club, into the vise.
Okay.
You hit a button, the vise clamps down on this. Now, this guy's got a ton of money, so he's able to do these things. So once that happens, then there's a weight that is put on the tip of the shaft that has a sensor inside of it, and the sensor's hooked to a computer screen. Okay, and then you hit a button, a little finger comes out and puts the shaft under a load. Okay, then it starts traveling.
So a little hand comes out with a little finger and it taps it.
Taps it. You got it.
Okay.
So then it starts moving, and then once it starts moving, the computer analyzes the way that the shaft is moving.
Okay.
And then actually goes in and makes adjustments at the butt end of the club. So the machine actually rotates the shaft.
Okay.
Okay.
To
And
find that perfect spot.
Yep. And then the little finger will come back out again, flick it, and it'll go through, and it'll rotate backwards, forwards,
Is
forward,
my
backwards.
hand too big to get that job?
That finger would work. I got that looks pretty good.
I'm just
Yep.
wondering if I should apply.
But his van follows the PGA Tour.
Okay.
So there's all the top players. Clubs are pured. There's no doubt about that. The first thing they'll do is, like, if Titleist gets a set of irons in, or Mizuno, Nike, whoever have you,
Yeah.
what they'll do is they'll carry those clubs to the Gibson van, the puring van. They disassemble them, find the pure mark on that particular shaft, the balance point, or whatever you want to call it. Then they reinstall them, and then take them back to the Titleist van. Then they'll adjust the loft and lies, change the grips, do whatever they need to do for that particular player. But it's just kind of a hidden little thing that not a lot of people know about. But it definitely makes a difference.
I've had a lot of people come in and tell me, Al, I hit this set. I can't hit the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6. Love my 7. Can't hit the 8, 9 wedge.
Yep.
And I'll ask him, I said, okay, just out of humor of knowing just enough to get me in trouble, I'll say, well, I bet the shaft in your 7 is as close to balanced as any of them. And that's why it feels so good. That's why it's your go-to club.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, the eyes are glazed over as much as mine do.
Yep.
And, they go, what do you mean by that?
Yep.
And that's when it gets into the story of how you're explaining it today.
Well,
Yes, sir.
and that's a great argument, George. That's a good statement and a very good argument when you're talking to someone like that. But it's like, with my, we played the other day, how much I struggle with my 3 and 4 iron.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went into Al. I said, look, they're too strong. Something's going on here. He checked them both. I mean, they were way off. Bent them, boom. Play yesterday, they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many variables to it.
There is.
Puring the shaft is crucial, but it's also lie loft, knowing what you need, what
Right.
fits you,
Grip
what's-
size, length. Yep.
There's so many things to it, but the puring part is what fascinates me more so with the graphite than with the steel. I think with the steel, it's a lot easier to get it to a closer point coming from the manufacturer than
It
it
is.
is with the graphite.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
graphite is so pieced together. It's fibers and epoxy, and then it's all. So you've got to tinker with them to get those. where
And
they're just
graphite,
right.
too, is many more chemical composition induced as far as this development process.
Yes.
In other words, how they're made.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's-
Definitely.
I mean, some shafts have more resin than others. Some shafts have more graphite than others.
Yep. Fiber, steel.
Depending on the torque
Yep.
and what,
Exactly.
what they're trying to get it to do, and that's why what Al's talking about, getting this thing balanced to where it doesn't oscillate, or
when
if you need.
Yeah, when it comes to graphite shafts, and which everybody goes to now, I play them.
Oh, yeah.
Al, you play them. Hugh wishes he plays them. Is there one graphite shaft manufacturer out there that's better than the other as far as, reliability of balance, spine?
There is a couple
things of that sort.
There's a couple that stands out.
Is Recoil one of them?
Recoil is
I was
one of
going
them.
to say UST,
Yeah, UST.
the iron shaft recoil, yes, without a question of
That
it.
UST Recoil?
Yep. The Steel Fiber Aerotech and Fujikura. Those are my picks.
Okay. All right. Now, should we worry about this in a driver or fairway wood?
Driver's the most important one.
Really?
The driver's the most important one.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You can have a driver now, and another thing too. What I like to bring up to everybody is that this also throws a whole nother aspect into this is with these adjustable drivers. The adjustability is great. I love it. I think it's ingenious. Mm-hmm. But what you have to do is you have to know your game and know what kind of setting you want, and then balance the shaft to that setting. If you're constantly unscrewing that thing and rotating it in different directions to figure out what you're moving the spline on that shaft every time you rotate that positioning.
Great point.
And not just your grips crooked, folks.
Yeah,
It's
not just your grip. It affects a lot. So we really want to make sure, that if you for instance, my particular driver, I like a driver that's closed about a degree. I'm a little bit outside the end.
A little,
and then I like a little bit of loft, but a little loft. So the important thing is when I balance the shaft of that head, I preset the hosel, so that it's closed just a titch, and a little flat because I'm a little on the short side.
You almost said tick again.
So what you'll find is that you need to know, what's happening with your driver and what flight characteristics that you're looking for before you go and balance the shaft. It has to be to the right setting.
Can we assume that the manufacturer has gone through and found your?
No.
See, I didn't even finish the question. He's shaking his head. No.
I know where it's
Hold
going.
on a minute. Wait. Let me finish my question.
It's going to be a waste of breath, but go ahead.
Shut them off. We've got all the manufacturers now do the multiple adjustment hosels. Some 4 adjustments, 8 adjustments, 12 adjustments. You can move it up to 4 degrees difference. It's amazing the adjustments that come off this piece of plastic that's at the end, the working end of these clubs. So we can, by your head shaking before I even asked, we can assume that they have not checked where the puring aspects are of this shaft before they slip that.
That's correct.
Hosel on it?
No manufacturers. Now, there are a few manufacturers that offer shaft puring. Mm-hmm. It's an additional charge of usually anywhere between $25 to $45 a club, depending upon who you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And then it will come with a little sticker from Mr. Gibson that says it's been pured. Mm-hmm. They can even give you a printout off the computer that shows you how they've orientated the shaft. Mm-hmm. So, and unless you ask for it, you're not going to get it.
No, because people order clubs, they want them the next, I want them as soon as I can get them. And for them to get them out that fast, there's no way for them to take the time to do them correctly like that.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. There's no way.
Nope.
That's where you've got to take
How long does it take you to pure a shaft?
Well, you have to disassemble the golf club first or start with a raw shaft. Okay, so if you have a raw shaft, to balance a shaft takes about 2 to 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. But of course, you got to figure in the disassemble and the reassemble.
That's it. If you're dealing with a club that's already built, then you've got to consider that, and it's an hour operation.
Right.
That's just to prepare and get it ready to go.
Yep.
Into
And what do you charge for puring a shaft?
$25.
$25.
Yeah. Well, I'd balance. Puring is Gibson's own term, and you
balance the shaft.
I
Okay.
balance, yes, sir.
But in theory, it's the same.
Oh, definitely.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
So I need to do that for my driver.
Well,
That'll
you can-
help my game tremendously.
Well, you can tell if they're out of balance.
Is that the
I
problem?
hit his, and it's pretty good.
It's pretty.
Is that
good,
the
yeah.
problem to
I
for
just
my
think,
game?
I just think it's where your hands are too close to your wrist.
I told you, turn them off.
He's got a bone in his right leg. That's what I heard.
Well, both of y'all,
But I mean,
kill me.
Be honest with you.
Y'all should go on tour with this stuff.
But I'll be honest with you. When you come up to the trot and you take it in there and let him do it and see what it does.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It take 2 minutes for him to put it in there and see how it oscillates and what the laser does, and then
Now, can you you can't check a shaft with a grip on it and a ferrule on it.
Yes.
Yes.
You can check a
Oh
shaft.
yes.
So you can check a shaft in its raw, in its
Assembled.
operational assembly, versus taking it all apart and then checking it.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. And basically, you're checking it against, because every one of the multiple fit hosels have a little hash mark. They have some reference point. That's where you line it up to the head.
That's correct.
Okay, so you're really seeing if that shaft and that hosel and that whatever hosel they're using
Adapter.
are
Yep.
lined up.
That's correct.
Okay, all
That's
right.
correct.
And again, you think the driver is more important than the irons or whatever,
Oh,
or
yeah.
maybe the most
Yeah,
important.
it's the longest club in the bag, so therefore the spline plays a larger role.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one you swing 99.9% of people swing the hardest at.
That's correct.
So if it's not in line, it's going to exaggerate.
Goes under the most load.
It's going to exaggerate your miss.
That's exactly right.
So that's my problem.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right.
That
Got
and
it.
the bone in the leg.
So we talked about puring, balancing, spline or spining,
Yes, sir.
and what was the other?
It's balancing, puring, and splining or spining, depending
Spining.
upon who you're talking
Okay.
to. So
All
they're
right.
they're all basically the same thing.
So the puring, or the splining and the spining is whether you're from East Tennessee or West Tennessee.
That's
is that right?
That's right.
Okay, got it.
That's right. which side of the hill did you come from? The north side or the south side?
Got it. Again, just don't even assume that this stuff has been done coming from any manufacturer.
That's correct.
Okay.
Not unless you
And if
requested
you
it.
really have that one club that is really your go-to club in that bag, you hit it well every time, it just feels so much different than the other clubs, then that's probably that club that came out during production that
Just so happened.
was just so happened to be perfectly balanced together.
That's
and,
correct.
And again, it may not be perfectly balanced, but it may be tweaked to the point to where you hit it best, as opposed to the others, whether you turn it, to where you draw it a little bit, or the other way, and you find out how it, and then all of a sudden now you've got a starting point to fix everything.
That's
and,
correct.
And I
That's
agree.
correct.
And I'll take that one step further. That to me is that club, whether it's a 9 iron, a 8, 7, 6, whatever it may be in the irons, that's the perfect length and the perfect flex for your particular swing. That's why it just feels the best.
Yeah, there can be a lot of contributing factors.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting to. Yeah. So what I need to do, see, my go-to club is my putter. So I should just make all my clubs the length of my putter.
Well, that's where I was going. You just going to play with a bag full of 5 irons?
Excuse me?
Tommy Armour tried
That's
that.
what my
it didn't
daddy
work.
said. My dad goes, like you play with a bag full of 5 irons. Every club's jacked up and this, that, and the other. I was like, he used to say that the guy used to gamble with.
You're
I thought it was
saying the
funny.
5 iron used to be your favorite club.
No.
Is that right?
I'm just saying that was a statement that the legend used to make when he was gambling with this particular person, because the only club they would ever hit was a 5 iron.
No, got it.
But, I mean, if you're talking about the 8 iron's your best club, you don't make them all that same length. You just figure out how it's balanced and the way it is, and you do the others the same way.
The weight.
And then it
Yeah.
gives you the same sensation when you swing it instead of them feeling like they're going all over the place.
Al, one other thing too, and we're talking about clubs and fitting people and things like that, and what club do they feel the best with? I had a gentleman the other day said, "Oh, George, I hit my 3-wood great, but I cannot hit a driver. I don't care what new technology drivers out there, I can't hit it." And I actually brought him in the shop. I looked at his 3-wood. I measured the length of it, and then I went over and got the demo new mini driver from Callaway.
Yes.
I said, "Okay, take this out and tee it up." He hits it. He hits it. He hits it. He goes, "Oh my gosh, George, this thing is marvelous. I've got to have one. Give it to me." And I said, "Do you not want to realize why it feels so good? It's a driver." He goes, "Well, it's just the perfect head, and it's obviously 1 degree closed, and I'm able to keep it straight." No, it's the same length as your 3-wood. That's it.
Yep. The shorter the shaft, the easier it is to swing.
That's it.
I mean, that's what's so funny. I mean, I used to play a 43.5-inch driver.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
That's what my 3-wood is now.
Longer is not
Oh, yeah.
better.
That's correct.
Oh.
Longer is not better. I don't care where it is.
Yep, the dispersion rate gets larger. There's multiple things that happen, when we do lengthen a golf club.
When you fit a club, I mean, one of the things you do is have the person stand upright and you measure their arms.
That's correct.
I had a gentleman the other day who was 5'8" and something. Okay, he goes, "Oh yeah, my clubs are 2 degrees upright and 2 inches long." 5'8". And I'm sitting there going, "Well, let's see. Your arms should stop about where mine stop at the elbows."
Right. Yep.
He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Hold your arms down to your side." He had huge arms, long arms. They almost got to his knees.
Yep.
I said, "Dude, do you not realize your clubs are way too long?" I said, "Here, hit this." I put him in a 1-inch short shaft, -1. And then I dropped him from +2 to -1 flat. He picks up 20 yards, a club. He goes, "God, this is so easy to hit." Mm-hmm. Ta-da.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Extra length's not always the answer. That's for sure. There's a point of diminishing
But he was
return.
fitted.
Yep.
He was fitted by a master club fitter.
It was a misfit.
Yeah, it was a misfit who did it.
Yeah.
I know the
Somebody's
individual.
trying to cure a fade or a slice. and they
No,
put
that
them
was
up
somebody's
right.
just selling a set of clubs that were on the floor that he wanted to get some cash to buy something else with.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
It was a misfit. Yep.
Yeah. So, again, this education on the shafts that you've been giving us the last couple of tech talks, has just been tremendous. And
I appreciate it.
I ask you to listen to these programs, educate yourself. There's such as getting custom fit clubs. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can even take it one step further and actually get the clubs custom made.
Yes. Definitely.
That's the whole new level.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He's been used to it for years.
Yes.
Okay? Us that are out there just amateur players enjoying and loving the game, we know we're not going to go out and make money at it. Well, we try to off our buddies on the weekends, but
Or at least Coca-Cola.
we just want to enjoy the game. And if these clubs, which are our only component for hitting that little white ball that just lays there and laugh at us, if we're able to improve them, then it's only going to help us improve.
You'll have more fun. You want to play more rounds, and it's just good for the game. Ill-fit golf clubs cause a lot of problems. It can cause people to walk away from the game. They get frustrated because what they're using is just not right for them, and
Right.
and they're having to, alter their swing or alter this or alter that to make. To adapt to these golf clubs that are ill fit.
Can I send clubs to you? Can I ship them to you? You balance them and
Yes,
then
sir.
ship them back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, it's 25 to 50 a club?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. I'm going to have you balance my driver.
You got it.
Okay.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
All right, baby. Another great Tech Talk with Al Cloyd. I want to thank everybody for joining us here. And, of course, TGD Radio and TV are produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for thegolfdirector.com. When visiting the Golf Director, be sure to check out our featured course pages, where you'll find up-to-date information about course conditions, specials, and much more. Need help with your next golf vacation?
Just call Dave.
Give us a call, 844-GO-GOLF-1. That's 844-464-6531.
That's right.
All of our TGD programming is archived for listening and viewing on demand. To catch up on any show you may have missed, click on the TGD Radio or the TGD TV tabs in the menu screen at thegolfdirector.com. We're now available on over 1
billion
With a B.
devices at iTunes, Audio Realm, TuneIn, YouTube, Ustream, Roku, Blueberry, and, of course, the Myrtle Beach Golf app. For HR3, Hugh Royer, Dr. Cloyd, Al Cloyd himself, Dr. Grind, and, of course, your humble host, George Honeycutt. We want to thank you for tuning
Big
in.
D.
We got Big D behind the glass.
That's right.
We want to thank you, and there's more golf news and information coming up next.
All right.